A commercial plane disappears in 1991. No wreckage, no survivors, nothing. But last month, Air Traffic Control in Nevada received a radio call from that exact same flight. Same pilots, same flight number, but the plane wasn't supposed to exist anymore. Tonight, you'll hear the truth behind the most chilling aviation mystery America has ever buried. The desert around northern Nevada was dead quiet. The sky was moonless, black, and wide, stretching forever over empty highways and forgotten ghost towns. In the middle of this silence sat Redstone Airfield, a small, barely active airstrip used mostly for military cargo. It was past 1:45 a.m., and Senior Controller Mark Holloway was finishing his night shift. Most nights were easy. A few drone tests, a cargo plane passing overhead, nothing unusual. But that night would carve itself forever into the history he never wanted to be part of. The first signal. Mark was sipping cold coffee when the radio crackled on its own. A deep static wave washed through the speakers. He frowned. The channel wasn't even active. Then he heard it. A trembling, desperate voice. "Redstone Tower, this is Flight A237, requesting emergency landing." Mark froze. "Repeat that?" he replied. "A237, low fuel, cabin pressure unstable, requesting immediate clearance." The problem? There was no Flight A237. Not anymore. Mark's mind raced back to the story he heard as a kid. On July 4th, 1991, Flight A237, a commercial passenger plane with 118 people on board, vanished over the Nevada desert. Its last transmission was a broken message about severe turbulence and a blinding flash. Search teams found nothing. No crash site, no debris, no bodies. It became one of the strangest aviation disappearances in American history, overshadowed by war and politics. Over time, people forgot. It became a ghost story for pilots. But now, 34 years later, someone was calling from that same flight. Mark switched to thermal radar, and there it was, a faint, flickering dot approaching Redstone from the southwest. Not following any modern air route, not broadcasting any updated transponder codes, just lumbering forward like something trying to hold itself together. Mark's voice shook. "Flight A237, confirm your aircraft type." Silence. Then, Boeing 727. Mark's blood ran cold. The Boeing 727 hadn't been used by commercial airlines in decades. Every remaining one was grounded, scrapped, or in museums. Yet this one was flying. 2 minutes later, the ground spotlights caught something in the sky. Mark stepped outside onto the observation deck, and there it was, a massive aircraft slowly descending, but not like a normal plane. It drifted, almost limping through the air, wings trembling as if straining to hold weight no longer meant to carry. The paint was faded. The tail number was scratched, but visible under layers of dirt. A237. Mark whispered, This isn't real." The aircraft hit the runway with a violent jolt. Sparks burst from the landing gear. Metal screeched like something alive and in pain. But it slowed, rolled, and came to a trembling stop. Emergency crews rushed out. Mark ran down himself, heart pounding. As he approached the plane, he noticed something terrifying. The fuselage looked weathered, like it had been underwater for decades. Rust streaked the windows. Parts of the metal were warped, almost melted. But the cabin lights were on. Someone was still inside. Security forced the main cabin door open. A gust of air rushed out, cold, damp, carrying a strange metallic smell. Mark climbed inside first. The narrow aisle was lined with seats. Every seat had a passenger strapped in, but every passenger was dead. Bone dry, skin shriveled, bodies looking decades old, like they had been preserved in some frozen, forgotten hell. Yet their clothes were intact, seatbelts still fastened, food trays untouched, plastic cups filled halfway with water that looked days, not decades old. It was as if the passengers died at one single moment, and time swallowed their bodies whole. But the nightmare wasn't over. Mark pushed forward toward the cockpit. The door was jammed. He forced it open. What he saw would haunt him forever. The two pilots were sitting upright, hands still on the controls, but their faces looked like they were caught in the middle of a scream, mouths open, eyes wide, frozen in terror. Between their seats lay a tattered black notebook. Mark picked it up. The last entry was written on July 4th, 1991. We encountered a flash, white, blinding, impossible. Instruments gone, passengers unconscious. We are drifting in absolute darkness. No stars, no horizon, only a sound like metal being bent by invisible hands. Another line. We keep trying to communicate, but there is no one out there. Then the final line. If we ever make it back, whoever finds this, tell my wife I didn't abandon her. We didn't crash. Something took us. Mark swallowed hard. He felt the cold sweat running down his back. Something took them. Federal investigators arrived 2 hours later. They immediately pulled the black box. What they heard made several officials leave the room. First came the pilot's frantic voice. "We're caught in something. It's pulling us. Engines failing." Then a long, impossible silence. After nearly a minute, a deep, distorted voice, not human, echoed through the recording. "You crossed into the path that is not yours. Return was never permitted." Then static, and the recording ended. The plane was ordered to be moved to a secure hangar. Investigators posted guards. But 3 nights later, Flight A237 vanished again. The hangar was empty. No signs of forced entry, no tire marks. Every security camera malfunctioned at the exact same minute, 2:03 a.m., as if the aircraft simply disappeared again. Mark returned to work a week later, though he barely slept. On his second night back, the radios crackled at exactly 2:03 a.m. He knew the voice before it even spoke. "Redstone Tower, this is Flight A237. Mark whispered, "No, no, you're gone." The voice continued, calm, empty. "We never landed." Mark felt his throat tighten. "Where are you now?" he asked. There was a long pause. Then, "We are where time does not move, and the sky never ends." Static swallowed the signal. Mark ripped off his headset, shaking uncontrollably. Flight A237 wasn't just a ghost. It was trapped somewhere between reality and something far worse. And whatever that place was, it knew how to send things back. But only for a little while.